Disappointed.
That was a messy process. And I take responsibility for not having structured it in a way where it was all taking place in one place that could be filmed. But I think it's a legitimate criticism. So on that one, I take responsibility.
And right after that, the president personally audited the congressman. No, it's a joke. I want to see. Anyway, please, it doesn't get that bad. Anyway, this guy's got to be a rising star, right? Even the President of the United States seemed to think so. And he's from the opposing party, Utah Republican Congressman Jason Chaffetz, taking on the commander-in-chief over everything from his lack of transparency to fiscally, his lack of credibility, instantly endearing him to Republican colleagues and urging grudging respect from the president himself. The congressman joining me right now. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How did that go down afterwards? Because it got a little testy there, but it was respectful.
Yeah, I better submit my tax return before April 15th, that's for sure.
But no, I always joke with you, you have to worry about more of your colleagues than the president. But did some of your colleagues regret inviting him?
Well, you know, on a pure political stage, I think there's some that thought he could pivot and get away from, you know, get off on a message that, and show an appearance that he's trying to be bipartisan. But there are those of us that actually like the idea to have an exchange and put him on the spot on tough questions and start a dialogue. There's a symbiotic relationship that should work there, and I'm more confident in my relationship and being able to work with the White House than I am with the House Democrats or the House leadership.
No, you got to watch everybody.
Yeah, that's
some Republicans, Democrats. Because for those of you who don't know that you don't approve pork of any sort for your district or anything, and you sleep on a cot in your office, and it's ridiculously cheap. But you become a rock star for that. But that's why you should watch everybody. But having said all of that, the talk was that the president would greet and talk to you guys and then walk out. And then he decided to take questions, which was riveting TV. We were watching it here. But the argument was he got the better of you guys.
No, I don't think so. I mean, at least from my standpoint, I got to ask him some tough questions about the lack of commitment on some of the promises that he had made, and at the end of the day...
Yours was the only one to which he admitted, maybe you're right.
Yeah, he admitted a little bit. You know, you just want people to do what they say they're going to do, and afterwards I went up and shook the president's hand and said, hey, you know, I'm not just here to take pot shots at you. I'll work with you as long as it goes both ways. And he said, no, I've heard good things about you, and it sounds like somebody you can work with. So you hope. I mean, I hope.
He watches this show. Trust me, he does. He doesn't admit it, but he does. But, Carson, is it your sense, though, that with the budget, that whatever he told you guys last week, he ain't doing? I mean, he talks about trimming the deficit and all of that other stuff, but he's doing it by and large by raising taxes on the rich, and there's actually very little spending cuts.
Well, that's the underlying concern that I have, is what he does and what he says are two different things. And he sounds very conservative, that he's concerned about the deficit and the deficit that he inherited. But then you turn around and look at his budget and you just think, oh my goodness, what did we actually say no to? I mean, he actually thinks that we're presenting something that's conservative. You got to be kidding me. We have the most out of control spending that we've ever seen in the history of
your colleagues, I know you're new to Congress, but he's saying, you know, your party are hardly the ones to start lecturing me on spending.
Well, hey, look, that's why I'm a freshman here. I argued that the Republicans who had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, they blew it because they overspent. It doesn't mean we keep doing it.
What do you advise they do now? What do you advise Republicans do now?
Well, we've got to earn back the credibility of the American people and put forth budget and programs and things like I did in my contract with AmericanDream.com and say, hey, look, here's some real ideas, and earn back the trust of the American people, because the reality was the Republicans weren't very fiscally conservative. The prescription drug plan that they put forward really wasn't paid for, and we got to admit that. But more importantly, now American people, hey, we've got a responsible way to actually balance the budget and cut things. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem.
But we have a taxing problem, too. We keep taxing.
Yeah, I know, and that's not the way to solve the problem. We have to have some real cuts across the board.
All right. I know the IRS wants to talk to you on line one, Congressman, but it's always, seriously, it's always very good seeing you.
Oh, thanks, Dale.
All right. When we come back, a major fix at a major price. The timeline is tight. Toyota's top guy here in the U.S. putting the proverbial pedal